Joe!
James!
Welcome back.
Oh, it's so good to be here. I've missed you.
I've missed you
I
too.
feel like I've lost a limb. I feel like
we-
Horatio Nelson.
Well, you're more like one of those oxalotls that can grow a tail back because your limb has returned.
It has returned.
And so have I. And we're back here for another episode of James and Joe.
I'm sorry. I thought it was called Joe and James.
Well, we can have that fight later because the fight that we need to have right
Yes.
now here is Anika Wells here.
Oh, fantastic minister, hardworking, no corner of the globe that she won't go to prosecute the good words about the Let Them Be Kids campaign, the social media ban for under 16s. She will stop at nothing and spare no expense to shout from the rooftops the good news.
No grand final unattended.
She does also
no
like a grand final.
Boxing Day test unturned. No Threadbow ski slope trail unrun.
I think there are a couple of tennis games as well.
Could have been a few tennis games there. Joe, look, I know everybody's going to be watching this and thinking, they're going to have a big old partisan biffo here because, we've got a Labour minister who's caught up in this. I think, though, and I'm on the fence, and so let's talk about this here, because on the one hand, I'm like, these people, the ministers are getting paid $450. Why do we even need like a sports minister and an arts minister and this minister and that minister? But putting that aside, I can't think of a lot of other jobs where people are pretty well compensated and, they have to travel a fair bit, but, they get their family flown business class to meet them on the road.
Yeah, look,
and this isn't a Labour.
No, I totally understand that. Well, firstly, people have. There's always this sort of corporate amnesia about these stories because they always blow up, and inevitably that conflagration burns everybody. So we're already seeing, the Greens being dragged into it, and we're seeing, Susan Lee can't even go on the attack on it because she did the exact same thing.
Oh, but what did she do though? She did. She fell on her sword after that. No, she went to the back bench.
She did her time. That's right, and came back. But I suppose the point is, and I'm not making excuses at all, but the point is that everybody's in on it. So, it's only a rort if you're not in on it, which is why everybody's in on it.
This is why everybody hates politicians. But so, this is the one side of where I am. But I want to pick through this with you, Joe, because on the other hand, look, let's be honest about this. Our political class, they ain't a lot of geniuses, right? People who are ministers in this country have worked their way up through a political process. They're not necessarily, shall we say, subject matter experts in whatever it is, like education or whatever.
That's right.
And where I'm going with this is I'm wondering if maybe actually, and this is going to be controversial, maybe we need to pay people more
to be politicians.
Do something like, Singapore, which is an incredibly well-run society, but all the ministers have, massive brains and big degrees from like Harvard and Stanford and places like this, and the place works really, really well. So part of me, I'm on the fence. Where do you sit on this?
Well, it reminds me of the great Winston Churchill quote, I know nothing of science, but I know a lot about scientists.
Yes.
Which is again, so politicians know they're not experts in a particular field, and you kind of don't want someone to be. Chances are, if you have spent your entire life focusing on one particular speciality, you're not going to be very good at sort of stepping back and taking a broad view and knowing where things need to be deployed. And that was the point that Churchill was making. Yeah. Churchill is not an infantryman, but he's very good at running a war cabinet and, knowing, how to beat Hitler.
Sure.
So I think there's kind of that, and I think you're absolutely right. Like the reason why politicians have so many of these perks is because every time they get a pay rise, of course, everyone jumps up and down, but there's seen to be a need to attract the best and brightest minds from the private sector, make it worth their while to serve the public. And so what do you do if everyone's watching your salary like a hawk and saying, I can't believe he's pulling in, $400,000 or whatever for being a minister. They bank in everything else as well. So you get all these perks on title. You get electorate perks. So you get, tens of thousands for a stationery allowance. They'll pay you, back in the old days, they'd pay your home phone bill, but of course they'll pay all your bills. And then they load on all these sort of travel allowances. So, I suppose if you're the head of a CEO of a bank, you're getting millions and millions and millions of dollars a year. You don't need someone to stiff up for your wife or husband or whatever to come and meet you. But if you're a politician, and you're running the whole country, but you're still only getting about $500,000 or whatever it is. That, I think it does you do end up getting into a position where you say, firstly, the job demands that, like if you're the PM or the foreign minister, you might be out of the country 200 days out of the year, or in
not
Canberra.
200. Well, with the sitting days.
In Canberra. So away from home was
but
what I meant.
Look, a lot of people, the FIFO workers, there's a lot of people who spend a lot of time away from home.
Yeah, that's true.
Truckies spend a lot of time away from home.
FIFO workers probably get paid more than politicians.
FIFO workers might,
But but I know, I take your point. And it's soul destroying. This is the thing, like FIFO workers, it breaks them, having to say goodbye to your wife and kids and know you're not going to see them for 2 weeks, every 2 weeks, or whatever it may be.
Well, whatever, sure. But I mean, what I'm saying is that, like these people, you don't want to, encourage that kind of crab in a bucket mentality where you just sort of keep pulling people down for, because they're making a bit of money. But at the same time, I don't know. I kind of feel like, this is also, I feel like the politics of this is strange because I am wondering why. Actually, I know why, but I'd like your thoughts on this. Why the Prime Minister has been so silent. He's doing his usual thing where he just brazens things out, and just ignores the noise, and that's his strategy. But it does seem like this would be an opportunity to say, look. Anakah is a great minister. She has my full support. As far as we know, she hasn't done anything outside the rules. However, we also understand that maybe some of these rules sit on the wrong side of community expectations, and we need to have a look at that. And the fact that he's not makes me feel like this is sort of a bipartisan political class thing where nobody wants.
That's right. No, exactly, because everyone's in on it.
It's like, you know what it's like? It's like how Old El Paso tacos, right? Yeah. Like everybody knows they're not authentic, but no one ever said, "Hey, we need to cancel that for cultural appropriation," because everybody loves an Old El Paso taco.
Exactly right.
And everybody loves their family reunion allowance, and so everybody goes, we're not going to touch this because we're all in on it.
Exactly, and again, this is what happens every time, going all the way back to the the Rort scandal, the travel Rort scandal.
It's only a Rort if you're not in on it.
Under John Howard, it's only a Rort when you're not in on it, and sooner or later, it just consumes everybody. And the problem.
But didn't John Howard shoot ministers in his first term, if I am not mistaken?
Yes, he did. Lost three ministers.
Very quickly. Bang, bang, bang. And he said, and there was no more funny business for the rest of his government.
Yeah, but the travel Rorts entitlements all remained.
Yeah,
and they're still being used to this day.
So, I mean, maybe the story is like, don't get caught. But, the other thing, too, it's like a rough week for Anika Wells because she would have been coming into this week going, oh, man, this is going to be so big. I've got the Let Them Be Kids campaign. We got the social media ban. The New York Times is writing about it, and everybody's like looking at this. And
that's right. This week, this is the 1 week that the media has to be nice to me.
Yeah. Oh. Not so much. Putting aside the whole marriage to the social media ban, I'm really interested about this other sort of question. Like we get the kids off the phones, which are poisonous. The question is, what do you do about them?
Yeah.
What are the kids going to do? Instead, I heard
hard drugs.
Hard drugs. Well, like the other day, I was, at home of an evening, and I heard firecrackers going off, and I thought,
that's beautiful.
Hey, this is great. The kids are out playing with firecrackers again. Nature is healing. Get out and do something
It's working
wholesome.
already.
I mean, we had Julian Leeser in the paper today write a great piece about saying, hey, this is a great chance to get kids reading books again.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree with that. But, what should the kids be doing? What do you think the kids should be doing? What did you do before you had a phone?
Get out of the house. Get away from me. I'm sick of having to, do all my work, staring at my screen, using my screen time that I don't have a chance, I don't have a choice to actually get away from. I'm hearing some, crazy, person talk about, and this is how I get my accessories and I think, hey, this is how we do it. Let's play a game where we do a secret room, and I don't even know what they're doing. All I know is these rich Californian kids running around with big white teeth, talking incessantly about stuff that means absolutely nothing. I want a social media ban. Sorry, it's been a rough week.
No, is everything okay, Joe?
Things are a little rough at home.
It's a little rough. All right.
Christmas is coming.
Look, on that note, we'll we might just wrap it there, Joe.
Might just jet off.
We might just jet off. What a wonderful James and Joe, Joe and James, and I think we might squeeze in one or two more before the end of the year.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Isn't it grand final season?
Maybe I don't do sports.
I know a guy who can just let me
get off.
Can we get 2 tickets?
Oh, hey!